Okay, think about this for a second. Would you, really, live out of your car for 3 straight years, giving up pretty much every comfort, just chasing a dream nobody else thinks is going to work?
It's almost unimaginable, right? Most people would just, they'd fold.
Exactly. But Steve Harvey, he did it. And he didn't just, scrape by. He turned that incredible sacrifice into a massive $200 million empire.
Yeah, and that's why this isn't just another rags to riches story you hear about.
Right. This is a real deep dive. It's a lesson, a powerful one in what it actually takes to build, an unbreakable mindset. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are really digging into one of the most, truly unlikely and genuinely inspiring success stories in modern media. We're going to unpack the journey of a man who, quite literally, built everything from nothing, carved out his own path against odds that, honestly, would crush most of us.
That sums it up perfectly. You hear Steve Harvey, and you think comedian, TV host, maybe author, quick wit, big personality. But what often gets lost behind the studio lights and the huge success is the unbelievable struggle that came before all that, the foundation. For 3 solid years, Steve Harvey was homeless. Let that sink in.
3 years.
Sleeping in a beat-up 1976 Ford Tempo, showering in gas stations, all while chasing the stand-up comedy dream that, at that point, hadn't paid him a single cent. 0.
Wow.
And yet fast forward and he's running a personal media empire worth, they say, over $200 million. But look, our goal here in this deep dive isn't just to list off his accomplishments or, gasp at the money.
Right. There's more to it.
Way more. The real focus, the thing we really want to get to the bottom of, is the mindset. What kind of thinking, what specific mental shifts let someone survive that kind of rock bottom, endure that isolation, and then climb that high? That's the question.
That really is the core question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The central thing we're asking today is pretty simple, but it goes deep. What does it actually take? How do you go from being completely invisible, totally overlooked, to being someone who's irreplaceable? From constantly getting rejected, doors slammed in your face, to being the one running the whole show.
And as we break down Steve Harvey's journey, we're going to focus on 6 key strategies. Or maybe it's better to call them fundamental shifts in how he thought. These were the bedrock of his whole rise. And they're not just, quick tips you can write down.
No, they're deeper.
Much deeper. They reveal what so many people get wrong about success. It's not just about working hard. That's never enough. Not on its own.
You need something else.
Yeah, you need the right internal framework, the right mindset to actually direct all that hard work. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels, right?
Yeah.
Working hard, but going nowhere.
Okay, let's dive right into this journey then. And maybe we start with something that might actually surprise people about those early struggles. His financial mindset. It's different. Let's rewind to 1988. Steve Harvey is, he's hit rock bottom by any standard measure. He's not just broke, he's bone-tired, exhausted, and he's been living in his car for 3 years straight.
3 years, it wasn't just a bad month.
Not at all. This was a long, grinding period of homelessness. And importantly, it wasn't because he was lazy or involved in crime or anything like that.
No, he was working, chasing the dream.
Exactly. He was relentlessly chasing this dream of being a stand-up comedian, a dream that at that time literally wasn't paying the bills. Not even close.
It really is a paradox when you think about it, that level of poverty just crushing. But alongside this incredibly powerful sense of purpose, it is a paradox. And this is where his financial thinking just veers completely off the standard path. Most people, right, we think of money as something you spend on needs, wants, maybe save for security, retirement, a rainy day fund.
Usual stuff.
The usual stuff. But Steve Harvey, even when he had almost nothing, like literally counting pennies, he completely redefined what money was for.
How so?
For him, it wasn't just currency, it was leverage. Every single dollar he didn't spend on just surviving, on making himself a tiny bit more comfortable, was a conscious choice, a vote he was casting for his future self, an investment in a vision that back then probably only he could really see clearly.
And you see that so starkly in the little details, the day-to-day choices he made. There's this story he tells, and it's just striking, about literally skipping meals, living off like the cheapest bologna sandwiches, just so he could save enough money to buy one good suit, one decent suit.
Now, hearing that, if you don't know the context, it sounds, almost crazy.
Totally. Like, why a suit when you're homeless and hungry? What was the thinking there?
That's exactly where the genius lies and where most people would miss the strategy. It looks like vanity.
Yeah.
But Steve understood something critical about the world he was trying to break into: comedy, entertainment, Perception matters a lot.
Image is key.
Image is absolutely key, especially when you're nobody. That suit wasn't about looking good for himself. It was a tool, a uniform of credibility.
Yeah.
It was a strategic investment in getting access to stages, access to people who might give him a shot. He wasn't buying clothes. He was buying the chance to be seen as a professional, even when he was sleeping in his car.
So he was leveraging that tiny bit of money.
Exactly. Leveraging a tiny amount for a potentially huge opportunity, turning almost nothing into a way to open doors that were firmly locked otherwise. He redirected that basic survival instinct. Not just to get through the day, but to build the stages he needed for tomorrow.
So every dollar saved, every skipped meal wasn't just deprivation. It was deliberate. It was investment capital. Like he was running this tiny one-man venture fund, betting entirely on himself. He wasn't just surviving. He was actively, intentionally building.
That's a fantastic way to put it. It captures that shift perfectly.
Right.
From just trying to make it through the night to actively constructing his future. He had this incredibly strict rule back then during the homeless years. If he somehow made, say, $25 from a gig.
Which must have felt like a fortune.
Oh, absolutely. He'd save $20 of it instantly. And the last $5, that went straight into gas money to get to the next open mic night. Often miles away, maybe even in another state.
Wow.
Then he'd sleep in the car again, do the gig, hope to make another $25. It wasn't just budgeting, it was active capital allocation for growth. Building his career, $5 at a time, using scarcity itself as a launch pad.
And what's truly remarkable is that this mindset, this intentionality, it didn't just disappear when he finally started making money. It wasn't like, okay, made it, now I can relax and spend. No. Even as a top paid host, making millions, he kept that same strategic view of finance.
Absolutely. You see it consistently in his later moves. He always diversified. He always reinvested back into himself, into his brand. Think about the launch of Steve Harvey Global in 2017, his own production company. That wasn't just a whim.
No, it was strategic.
Totally strategic. Because for him, the end game wasn't just being famous or having a high income. It was always about ownership.
Owning his stuff.
Owning his destiny. Real freedom, the way he saw it, came from controlling his financial future, his intellectual property. Not just being a highly paid employee, even a very, very well-paid one. And this really flies in the face of what we're usually taught, right? Save for safety, build a cushion, protect your lifestyle.
Yeah, build that nest egg.
Right. But Steve Harvey's path teaches something different, something maybe more potent. Use money to become powerful, not just comfortable.
Powerful, not comfortable.
Don't just protect your current lifestyle. Actively design your leverage. It's not just about saving, it's about identifying where a small amount of money can create a disproportionately large opportunity, your personal leverage points.
It's like the suit.
It's like the suit for him. For someone else, maybe it's a specific course or going to a key conference or even just buying back some time to focus intensely on one critical skill. It's realizing that not all dollars have the same value. Some are way more powerful if you deploy them smartly. This shift, redefining money's purpose, that's huge, especially if you're starting with nothing.
It explains so much.
It really does. That's why Steve Harvey didn't just get out of poverty when he got rich. He got out because he stopped seeing money as the end goal, the prize, and started seeing it for what it is, a tool, a powerful tool.
So it makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For anyone listening, are you mostly using your money just to get by, just to survive today? Or are you actively, strategically using it to change the whole game you're playing? And maybe what fear is stopping you from doing that?
It's a tough question when you think about what he went through. It's just amazing how we flipped the script on money, seeing it as this tool for ownership, for leverage. And that whole idea of ownership, it clearly didn't stop with his finances, did it?
Not at all. He seemed to apply that exact same kind of radical thinking to his whole career, building something that was truly his. Which leads us right into our next point, building work around the voice you own.
Yeah. Think about the standard career path for most people. You look for a job, you apply, you hope you get picked, and then basically you do what they tell you to do within their system.
Right. Fit into the box.
Pretty much. Steve Harvey, right from the start, just rejected that whole model. And like you said about the money, it wasn't just being difficult, it just wasn't working for him.
Nobody was offering him the chance he needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it back then. Who was going to hand over a big stage, a national platform to this guy? A black man from the South, thick accent, opinions that maybe didn't fit the mainstream mold.
Yeah, the odds were stacked against him.
Totally. No one was knocking on his door offering him that prime spot. So he realized really early on, with incredible clarity, okay, if they're not going to give me a stage, I have to build my own damn stage.
And that's such a huge mental leap, especially when you're just starting out, struggling. It means thinking beyond just being a performer.
Oh, absolutely. It's shifting from talent to proprietor.
Yeah.
Very early on, he had this insight that, honestly, a lot of successful people never quite grasp. He realized you can't just perform, you have to own.
Oh, the performance, own the platform.
Own the whole thing. He wasn't just trying to get laughs night after night. He was thinking, how do I turn these laughs, this talent I have, into something sustainable, into leverage, into a real business?
Mm-hmm.
And that thinking, that seed planted way back then, eventually grew into Steve Harvey Global, that massive company he launched officially in 2017.
Right, the umbrella for everything.
Everything. His own production house, East 112, the rights to his name, his likeness, all the brand stuff, books, TV, digital speaking tours. He was building an empire from day one, even if it didn't look like it then.
It's so easy now. You see him on TV hosting Family Feud or whatever, and you just think, wow, funny guy, super charismatic.
And he is, don't get me wrong.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you look closer, like you're saying, every single show, Family Feud, Celebrity Family Feud, Judge Steve Harvey, his radio show, they're not just separate jobs.
No, they're nodes.
Yeah. Each one is like a strategic business unit. And, maybe more importantly, they all amplify his main brand, his core identity. They feed each other. It's a system.
And his decision-making around this stuff, sometimes audacious. There's a famous story where he actually turned down $1 million contract.
$1 million. Who does that?
Right. Most people would sign before the ink was dry, but it didn't offer him production credit or any creative control.
So it was about the ownership again.
Always. For Steve, it wasn't about the quick cash, even if it was big cash. He wasn't chasing the paycheck. He was chasing the infrastructure. He didn't want to just be employed. He wanted to employ himself. To build a system where he called the shots, owned the IP, controlled the long-term value.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me. Because that decision, turning down $1 million, that's not arrogance. That's incredible foresight. Because real personal branding, the kind Steve Harvey built, it's not just about having a logo or a catchphrase.
No, it's much deeper.
It's like you said, it's a system. And it's built around the things you absolutely will not compromise on. For him, that meant owning his name, owning his message, owning the final product, even if it meant saying no to huge guaranteed checks right now.
And you saw that foresight pay off big time. Look at the movie, Think Like a Man. Based on his book, comes out in 2012, huge hit.
Massive.
It didn't just prove he could write or cross over. Crucially, it proved his brand had power way beyond just comedy or radio. And what did he do? Did he just license everything out, take the easy money?
No, sounds like he doubled down on ownership.
Exactly. Instead of just collecting fees, he started strategically acquiring the tools to control more of the whole process himself. Content creation, distribution, speaking, merchandise. He was building his own ecosystem, a self-reliant world around his brand, instead of depending on other people's platforms.
So today, yeah, he's not just a host who clocks in and out. He's a CEO, he's a brand architect, he's got global holdings. He's basically the gatekeeper of his own future.
And he got there not by just saying yes to every opportunity that looked good on the surface. He got there by constantly asking that different, deeper question. Does this expand my ownership, or does it just rent my talent?
Wow. Expand ownership or rent talent?
That question shaped everything. It forced him to prioritize long-term control over short-term gain. It's about building real, lasting equity, not just chasing income.
So maybe you're listening right now, feeling stuck in a job. It pays the bills, sure, but you don't feel like you're building anything that's truly yours, anything for the long haul. Ask yourself, what could you create? What's your unique voice, your unique story that nobody else can deliver? What's that one thing only you can bring to the world?
And what's stopping you from owning it?
Yeah, because Steve Harvey didn't sit around waiting for an invitation. He didn't wait for someone to give him a shot. He went out, built the whole arena himself, printed the tickets, and then put on the show for the world, completely on his terms. Okay, so building your own arena, owning that unique voice, it obviously takes incredible strategy, like we've been discussing, but it takes more than just smarts, right? It needs this almost relentless discipline, an internal engine that just doesn't quit, which brings us straight to his daily habits, his behaviors.
Oh, the routine is something else. It really is. Steve Harvey gets up at 5 a.m., every single day.
Not just sometimes, every day.
Non-negotiable. And then he puts in typically 10 to 12-hour workdays, consistently.
What's he doing in those hours?
It's packed. He's often recording multiple shows back to back. He's actively managing his businesses. Steve Harvey Global isn't passive. He's involved in his philanthropy. He's overseeing production details. And get this, he still writes a lot of his own material.
Still writing jokes after all this time.
Still honing the craft. Like you said earlier, this isn't glamour. This is pure, hard-nosed grit. And it seems powered by this deep, almost primal need to keep moving, keep building.
You know, people love to talk about the grind these days. It's become this buzzword, almost trendy.
Yeah, like it's cool to be exhausted.
Right. But for Steve, it feels completely different. It's not a slogan. It feels more like a biological reflex, almost like a survival mechanism that got hardwired in during those tough years.
I think that's exactly right. After 3 years living in a car, facing that kind of uncertainty every single day, hard work probably stopped being a choice and became, like you said, protection.
Yeah, a shield.
A shield against ever going back there, against ever feeling that powerless again. It's like his whole system is geared towards preventing that past from ever repeating itself, ensuring that level of desperation stays firmly in the rearview mirror. He said something really telling in an interview once, just straight up, "I work like I'm still broke." And you get the sense that wasn't just a line for the camera. That felt real, like muscle memory kicking in from deep poverty.
Yeah.
Because when you've been that low, where your next meal isn't guaranteed, comfort doesn't just feel nice. It can feel dangerous. Like a trap, like letting your guard down invites disaster. Sled gets that on a gut level.
So the work isn't just about achieving more. It's about maintaining vigilance.
Exactly. Training like your life depends on it, because for a long time, it actually did.
If you looked at his schedule, it wouldn't look like a typical entertainer's, right?
Yeah.
Not sporadic bursts of activity.
Not at all. It looks like a Fortune 500 CEO's calendar. Jam-packed, scheduled down to the hour, media hits, filming blocks, script meetings, business calls, mentoring sessions.
And still finding time to write.
Still finding time to write, to keep that core skill sharp. It's relentless. And the thing that really separates him maybe from others who have flashes of success is the insane consistency. He just shows up, period. Doesn't matter if it's raining, if he's tired, if he doesn't feel particularly funny that day, he shows up.
That's the deal he made.
That's the silent deal he made with himself way back in that Ford Tempo. If I ever get a real chance, I will never, ever take it for granted. That promise seems to drive everything.
You know, some people talk about discipline as a form of self-love.
Yeah.
Like you're doing the hard thing now for the benefit of your future self. Steve seems to embody that. He's not chasing the easy dopamine hit, the instant gratification we're all kind of wired for now.
Yeah, he's chasing duty.
Duty. That's a good word for it. And it feels like his duty isn't just to his audience or his career. It's to that version of himself who almost didn't make it.
Yeah, honoring that struggle, serving that memory. And here's a fascinating little twist, something that really shows his character. He freely admits he hates waking up early.
He doesn't like it.
Doesn't enjoy it at all, hates that alarm clock going off before dawn, but he does it anyway, every single day.
Why?
Because he knows with absolute certainty that the life he wants, the legacy he's building for his family, it's on the other side of that discomfort every time.
He lives by a different code.
A totally different code than this modern obsession with finding perfect balance or avoiding hard things. His thing is, I work to buy freedom for the people I love. That's his driver. It's not sacrifice for the sake of sacrifice. It's strategic effort. It's not burnout. It's belief. Belief that the work serves something bigger than himself, something that will last.
So maybe you're listening and wondering, why haven't I gotten there yet? Why does my goal feel so far away?
Ask yourself honestly, are you moving every day like someone who knows they're going to make it? Like, success is inevitable if you just keep going.
Are you training like someone who is terrified of going backwards, someone who understands the real cost of standing still?
Because Steve Harvey isn't rich just because he got famous. He's rich, he's successful, he's influential because he puts in the work. The hard, unsexy, consistent work, especially when nobody's watching. That kind of discipline, that sheer relentlessness, it always comes from somewhere deeper, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to. It usually stems from this core belief in what's possible, even when all the evidence around you screams the opposite. Which brings us perfectly to his life philosophy, his guiding beliefs.
Let's go back to that image again, late 1980s. Steve Harvey, alone in that beat-up car, maybe parked behind a building somewhere, trying to be inconspicuous. and he's praying out loud, probably wondering if anyone, divine or otherwise, was even listening anymore.
Yeah, given the circumstances.
Right. No job, no money, no audience, just him, the steering wheel, and this dream that felt like it was going nowhere fast. But he kept praying. And maybe even more crucial, he kept showing up, kept going to those unpaid open mics day after day.
It's kind of staggering when you think about the sheer audacity of it. He essentially built his whole life on something many people today are, well, uncomfortable with. Or they just dismiss it as wishful thinking, faith.
And we need to be clear, like you said, this isn't necessarily about organized religion or just going through motions.
No, it's belief as fuel.
Exactly. Belief as active, potent fuel. The kind of faith that lets you genuinely say, with conviction, not just hope, okay, I don't need to see the whole staircase right now. I just need to take the very first step. That's a fundamentally different way of operating than how most of us approach uncertainty. Think about the big leaps he took throughout his life, one after another, quitting jobs that were safe, stable, predictable, without a safety net.
Terrifying.
Moving across the country with zero guarantees, launching companies without big investors lined up, without a proven business model. Even writing that relationship book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, that was a huge risk for a comedian. It could have totally tanked his comedy cred.
Big time.
But he did these things, not because they made perfect sense on paper, not because the spreadsheet said go, but because he had this deep inner conviction, this gut feeling, this voice inside, that just wouldn't let him rest until he took the leap.
He described his decision-making process once, and it really stuck with me. It kind of sums up this whole philosophy. He said, if I pray on it and the fear doesn't go away, I still do it afraid.
Now, that sounds almost reckless, doesn't it? Like ignoring caution.
Yeah, like maybe irresponsible.
But for Steve, it's not recklessness. It's the only way he knows how to actually move forward authentically, how to make real progress towards the life he feels called to live.
Logic has its limits.
Exactly. Logic is useful, absolutely. It gives you structure, analysis. But logic alone doesn't build miracles. Faith does. And maybe just as important, taking those leaps, doing it afraid, that teaches you what you're really capable of. It pushes you past what you thought your limits were.
Most people wait for proof.
Right. We want certainty. We want all the ducks in a row before we commit. Steve Harvey. He committed first, fully, and acted until the proof eventually showed up. He flipped the script. He created the proof through belief and action.
And this mindset, this faith, it became his compass, especially when things got rough, during crises. Talk shows get canceled unexpectedly. He doesn't crumble. He pivots. Instantly.
Studios say no to his ideas. He doesn't give up. He finds a way to build his own platform, his own studio.
Critics question his moves. Public doubts him.
He doesn't shrink back. He doubles down, moves forward with even more conviction. And again, this isn't just ego talking. It's not defiance just to be defiant. It's profound alignment. Alignment with a vision that maybe only he could see clearly at that moment.
That's what faith is.
That's exactly what faith is, holding on to a future in your heart that nobody else validates yet, a future that might look completely impossible from the outside. It's not blind belief. It's rooted in knowing who you are, knowing your purpose. Steve knew who he was long before the world caught up, long before the contracts proved it. His internal validation came first.
Which is why, even now when he's making huge decisions, investments, partnerships, new shows, the key question isn't just, will this make money?
No, the deeper question, the filter is, does this align with who I'm becoming?
That's powerful. Does this align with who I'm becoming?
That single question has probably saved him millions by steering him away from things that looked good but weren't right for his path. And yeah, he admits it's probably cost him some lucrative deals too, things that didn't feel aligned. But ultimately, it's kept him authentic, kept him true to his core vision, ensuring every step builds towards that larger purpose.
So it really makes you ask yourself, are you building your life based mainly on what seems logical, what feels safe, what other people will approve of?
Are you daring to build it based on what truly makes you feel alive? What resonates with your deepest self, even if it seems crazy to everyone else?
Are you waiting for permission for somebody else's okay? Or are you stepping out, walking forward with faith in your own path, taking that first scary step?
Because if you wait until everything is perfectly clear, until it's obvious, you'll always be late. You'll miss the boat. Steve Harvey didn't wait for certainty. He just walked in purpose and let the results catch up.
Okay, walking in purpose, having that deep faith, builds incredible internal conviction. We get that. But then, how do you translate that distinct inner identity, that powerful belief, into actual external influence? How do you make the world sit up and take notice? Let's get into his power thinking.
Just watch Steve Harvey on Family Feud. Even for a few minutes, there's something undeniable happening there. He's not just reading questions off a card. He owns that entire space. Every little smirk, every raised eyebrow, every perfectly timed pause becomes a punchline without a script.
It's amazing to watch. He just needs a fraction of a second in expression.
And boom, millions of people are laughing. That's not just being naturally funny or charismatic. That's craft. Master-level craft, honed over years and years. He's turned simple presence into a competitive weapon, a core part of his brand nobody else can copy. But let's be really clear here. He didn't get to this level of influence by trying to blend in.
Yeah.
By trying to be like everyone else or make himself more palatable.
No, quite the opposite, right?
Exactly the opposite. His early career was basically defined by rejection because he was different. He was told constantly, "You're too loud, you're too Southern, you're too black for a national audience."
Wow.
Producers said the accent would never play outside the South. Agents said his humor was too specific, too niche. Critics basically wrote him off for mainstream success. The underlying message was always, change who you are, conform, or you'll fail.
And what did he do with all that helpful feedback?
He listened. He heard it all. And then instead of changing, instead of sanding off those edges they didn't like, he leaned harder into them.
He doubled down on being himself.
He stopped trying to be acceptable to everyone and started focusing on being unforgettable to the right people. And this is such a powerful, maybe counterintuitive lesson in what you called power thinking. When the world tells you, soften your edges, be more mainstream, don't be so polarizing, Steve's approach was, sharpen them instead.
That takes guts.
It takes guts and it takes strategic insight because he understood. In a world that's getting louder and more crowded every day, being neutral, being bland, that's death. That's invisibility. Real influence, lasting impact, doesn't come from trying to please everyone. It comes from being so distinct, so authentically you that your tribe, the people who resonate with you, can never forget you. It's about differentiation through authenticity, not conformity.
So now, he doesn't just host shows. He actually shapes the whole vibe, the format, even how people perceive those platforms. His name, his face, his voice are now linked to all these different cultural areas, humor, obviously, but also relationships, leadership advice, faith. And that wasn't an accident. That was by design.
Think about Family Feud again. When he took over in 2010, that show was fading fast. Ratings were down. It felt old.
Yeah, I was kind of tired.
Within a single season of him hosting, viewership exploded.
Yeah.
By 2023, it was consistently pulling in over 8 million viewers weekly. And everyone agrees, a huge part of that turnaround was Steve's unique, personality-driven style. He didn't change the format much, he just injected himself into it, authentically.
But it's not just about the numbers, right? Even though the numbers are huge, it's about something else.
It's about resonance. He didn't invent some fake TV persona, he just turned up the volume on who he already was, amplified his real personality, including all the quirks he was told to hide early on.
And he knew.
He knew instinctively that if people could laugh with him, genuinely connect with his real reactions, his real takes, then they'd start to trust him. And once you have that trust, they'll follow you. They'll buy the book, they'll tune into the next show, they'll listen to the advice. He built a community based on being real. That's what real influence is. It's not just name recognition. It's how many people actually do something, think differently, or feel something because you spoke, because you showed up. Impact. Steve doesn't have to yell. He speaks with this clarity, this specificity, this undeniable authenticity. And the whole room just leans in. You feel compelled to listen, to react. That's his power. And he built it by refusing to be anyone but himself.
So maybe the question for you is this. Are you spending your energy trying to package yourself for mass approval? Trying to be liked by everyone? Maybe watering down what makes you unique in the process?
Or are you focused on presenting yourself for deep impact, for the people who really need to hear your specific voice, your unique perspective?
Are you hiding the things that make you different, your quirks, your passions? Or are you bravely turning them into your superpower, your brand?
Because honestly, the world doesn't need another perfectly polished, generic talking head. It needs real people, like Steve Harvey, someone who took all the criticism, all the you're too much of this or not enough of that, and turned it into his signature, his edge.
In the influence game, it's not about being liked by all. It's about being needed by some. So deeply needed, they can't imagine that space without you. Okay, so you build this distinct influence, this authentic brand, this ownership. But then what happens when it's threatened? What happens when crisis hits? Because it always does, eventually.
That's it.
Steve Harvey's way of handling those moments, that might be the ultimate proof of his unbreakable mindset.
Yeah, let's go back to that moment in 2017, the phone call. The news that his daytime talk show, a major platform, was being canceled.
Devastating for most people.
Absolutely. For most, that's a huge blow, maybe signals the beginning of the end, panic sets in. But for Steve, it wasn't an ending, it was a cue.
A cue for what?
A cue to stop playing their game and build a whole new table, one where he owned everything. All the chairs, the rules, the whole setup.
And he moved fast, didn't he?
Incredibly fast. That same year, 2017, he didn't retreat, he attacked. He launched Steve Harvey Global. This private company wasn't just about salvaging his career, it was designed to redefine it, to massively expand it for the future. It brought everything under one roof. His IP, his media rights, his production company East 112, his international deals. He took what looked like a major loss and turned it into a power move for consolidation and future control. It's such a fundamental mindset difference. Most people, crisis hits, they shrink. They pull back, get defensive, try to protect what's left.
Yeah, survival mode.
Survival mode, Steve. He expands. Because he understands something crucial. A crisis isn't the final word. It's the start of a redesign. It's a forced opportunity to rethink everything, to rebuild stronger, better, more aligned with where you ultimately want to go. It's about reinvention, not just recovery.
He has that quote that just nails this idea. When something gets taken from me, I don't fight to get it back. I figure out why I let someone else hold it in the first place.
Boom. That right there. That's the difference between playing defense, just trying to survive the current round, and playing the long game, aiming to dominate, to build something that lasts.
And that thinking came from the struggle.
Absolutely forged in those years of instability. Homelessness didn't just teach him to fear loss. It taught him to anticipate it, to prepare for it, but not just by building walls. Sometimes the best defense is a bold offense, leveraging the pain of the past to create power for the future.
You really saw this when he pivoted hard towards digital, right? When traditional TV networks were maybe slow to embrace his next moves.
Totally. They hesitated, they questioned. He didn't wait for their approval, he just went around them. Started pouring resources into his YouTube channel, launched mobile-first content, and crucially, started actively targeting huge audiences outside the US and Africa, the Middle East. He wasn't waiting for Hollywood to call him back. He was making himself a global brand independent of them, diversifying his distribution, making himself essentially network-proof.
So every crisis, every time a door slammed,
it
was actually a lesson.
An expensive lesson sometimes, maybe, but a powerful one. The core takeaway was always, control equals security. Not applause, not even the paycheck from one gig. Real security comes from owning the platform, owning the IP, owning the distribution.
If they can cancel your show,
then you need to own the show's format. If they can delay your book,
you need your own way to reach your audience.
Exactly. He systematically turned every vulnerability into a catalyst for greater autonomy, greater ownership. So looking back, that canceled talk show, it wasn't really a failure. It was more like a diagnostic tool.
Ah, interesting.
It clearly showed him exactly where he'd given away his power, where he was dependent on others. And it gave him the precise data he needed to go out and reclaim that power, to build a much stronger, more resilient structure.
So now he plans for storms.
He plans for setbacks, not out of fear, but out of realism. Storms happen. Business cycles turn. His strategy now isn't to avoid storms, but to build his foundation, his infrastructure, so incredibly strong, so diversified that when the storm hits, it just doesn't matter that much. The core holds. The empire stands.
So if you're listening and you're going through a crisis right now, big or small, personal or professional, maybe ask yourself this. Are you just frantically trying to patch the hole in the boat you're already in, desperately trying to keep the old thing afloat, clinging to how things were?
Are you ready? Are you willing to see this as a signal, an opportunity to step back and start designing the next boat, a better boat, built for where you actually want to go?
Because that's the real difference, isn't it? Reacting versus redesigning. Steve Harvey doesn't play for today's game. He plays for forever. And when you think like that, no crisis is ever just wasted energy. It's always fuel for building something stronger. When you step back and look at the whole arc, Steve Harvey's journey, it's just incredible. It's more than just success. It's a story of profound transformation. It's about someone who flat out refused to accept the life circumstances he was handed. He went from homeless, invisible, to a global household name.
From being forgotten, dismissed, to being a foundational pillar in the media landscape.
From being told over and over, you'll never make it, to building this incredible $200 million empire.
But, and this is crucial, that number, the $200 million, while it shows the scale, it isn't the ultimate lesson here. What really matters, the wisdom that sticks with you, is how he did it. It wasn't luck. It wasn't finding some magic shortcut.
No.
He built it using principles that just don't expire. Timeless stuff, unshakable faith, relentless discipline, a radical commitment to ownership, and just sheer, raw courage to keep creating, keep showing up, even when rejection was the loudest noise around him.
He built that empire piece by piece, didn't he? Show by show,
Yeah.
joke by joke, book by book.
Yeah, and even the failures, the setbacks, they became bricks in the wall too, but the real foundation, the bedrock,
That was laid much earlier.
way earlier, long before anyone was watching, long before there was any money or fame. It started back then in the silence, in the struggle, in that beat-up car, fueled only by conviction, by a vision only he held. And maybe that is the most profound takeaway for all of us listening. Think about this. What you build when no one believes in you, that quiet work, that unseen effort, those moments you push through doubt when nobody's cheering you on, that is precisely what becomes unbreakable once the world finally does start paying attention.
Wow.
Success, it comes and goes, fame is fleeting, trends change overnight, but mindset, the mindset you forge in the fire, in the quiet persistence, in the face of rejection, that lasts. That's eternal.
That's the real difference.
That's the difference between people who win once, maybe get lucky, and those who have the foundation to keep building, keep adapting, keep thriving, no matter what storms come.
You don't have to want to be a TV star. You don't need to build a $200 million company. That's not the point. But you do have to ask yourself, especially when things are tough, when you feel invisible, what am I doing right now, today, in this quiet moment that is actively shaping the stronger, more resilient, more authentic future version of me? This deep dive into Steve Harvey's unbelievable journey really hammers home that point. True empire building, whether it's in business or just in character, it starts long, long before the spotlight ever finds you.
So think about your own invisible efforts today, that quiet discipline, that private conviction you hold on to. That's not wasted time. That is your ultimate leverage. That's what's building the indelible legacy of tomorrow.
Until next time, keep deep diving into the wisdom that helps you build the version of you that maybe no one sees yet, but someday no one will ever forget.